Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie, and for my presentation, I'm going to talk about a time where I made the decision to help another student in a somewhat competitive environment, which ultimately resulted in a good outcome in my favor. One day on campus, the CIA visited Cal State San Bernardino for an information session about upcoming opportunities and a chance to look at our resumes. When I arrived to that room in my best interview outfit, I thought I was on time, but I was actually 1 hour late. Early that morning while I was getting ready, the event organizer emailed everybody correcting the event start time. Standing there surprised to see that I already missed some of it, I decided to take a seat nervously in the back. Cybersecurity professor Charles Rose warmly pointed me out, removing that punch to my ego, and invited me to the front of the room where there were still seats available. I was hesitant, but I decided to go up where just 5 feet away stood the CIA. During the info session, the CIA gave a wealth of information but made it clear that this was obviously a competitive spot. I got really excited listening to the CIA and grew more interested about the possibility of working with them, even if it's for an internship. After the info session ended, it was time for students to meet with the agents for that one-to-one review over the resumes. At this point, I was feeling competitive and ready to give my absolute best first impression to the CIA, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. While I waited, a small, docile-looking girl quietly sat next to me. I started to think she's probably a new student just like me. I wanted to keep to myself, feeling that I was a bit competitive in that moment, but I felt the urge to talk to this girl and see if there's a way to help her out. I decided to break the ice, and we had a good discussion where I ended up sending her an email with the Cybersecurity Club's project schedule so she can show up on project days and build her skills. She had absolutely no idea of this and was really glad to receive the schedule. Mid conversation, one of the agents became available, and the girl walked straight up, determined, and ready. A couple of minutes went by, and it was finally my turn to meet with the CIA. I was nervous as heck, shakingly breathy when speaking, and introduced myself hesitantly. I quickly took out my purple folder with my resume inside and handed it to her. She looked at my resume for a couple of seconds, looked back up, and said, "You have strong leadership skills, but you'd need to put that on your resume," while subtly pointing at the table where I was talking to the student. This is when I realized that although I felt disadvantaged for helping the student in a competitive environment for a really good opportunity, it actually worked out in my favor because the agent noticed me helping the student out. She gave me a couple more pointers for my resume, and we ended the meeting shortly after. Right before ending the meeting, she handed me a flyer with CIA resume tips and told me to email her later with an updated version of my resume. I thanked her with a huge smile on my face and eagerly left the room ecstatic about the opportunity that had just been handed to me. The Cybersecurity Club is a great group with wonderful people and was some of the most inspiring people I've ever met. I recommend all cyber students to join. In that specific moment at that event, I felt competitive because I got inspired by the work the CIA does and wanted this opportunity badly. The moral of this story is that sometimes people think or even feel in their gut it's a good idea to not help others out when the stakes are sort of high. It turns out that people with high leveled positions like seeing altruism or helpfulness because it looks a lot like leadership, and those are qualities that they want on their team. I emailed the agent back with an updated resume, and she responded back with more advice on how to strengthen my resume. I can use this resume to submit my internship application so I can hopefully land that spot and work with the CIA summer 2023. If I didn't make that choice to help the student out in that moment, I probably would have been overlooked. I thought my resume was good with my experience, but it lacked what the CIA agent calls context about my behavior and personality. I'm glad I decided to turn to that student and help her out. It worked out for the both of us, and we both gained something to take away from that event. Somehow, even after I showed up to the event 1 hour late. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story about how I accidentally showed up to an important event late and left with a follow-up opportunity by choosing altruism and helpfulness during what felt like a competitive moment in my life.